Because
on your screen, yes. Mine looks backwards to me.
Mine's backwards on my
Gotcha,
screen. It's
gotcha.
normal for you guys, though. So
Do y'all see the Mac Miller thing normal? Because it looks normal on
Yeah.
my end. It looks normal on mine. So I'm right.
That's strange. That's very strange.
The multiverse of podcasting right now.
We were doing some investigating, and we found out that there's which I did not know, a Shabuzi song on the Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack. And it's
really?
Yeah, it's really bad. But
That's too bad.
yeah, it's very weird. I don't know where he is in the song, but he's in the soundtrack. But I just wasn't on my Shabooze grind then. I hadn't been hit with the Shabooze juice yet.
I feel like that was watch it. First off, but second off, I feel like that was pretty early in the Shabooze's career.
Very early.
That might have been his first break.
Yeah, maybe.
Listen, on this pod, we love Shabooze.
We do love Shabooze on the pod.
Yeah.
I want to say something real quick. I gotta say, a lot of things have changed since the inception of this podcast. And looking back, some may say that very little was the same from when we started.
Oh, fucking Christ.
Some may even say that nothing was the same from when we last started. Would you agree with that statement, Trey?
I would not. No.
I
would say everything is quite similar.
Okay. Cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's Totally Biased Music. It's Blake, Trey, and Anthony. And wow, we got a doozy today. A TVM first. The first Drake solo album, Nothing Was the Same, released in 2013. It is his third studio album, arguably widely regarded as his best next to Take Care. And then we are reviewing Into the Spider-Verse, which was Trey's pick. And I think it's like, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but is this our first superhero movie?
No, I feel like we did a Batman movie.
You consider Team America superheroes? Because I do.
I would say yes. That question.
I don't think.
Yeah, but is it a superhero movie though? Probably not. But
no.
Are they superheroes? Yes.
Yeah, but I don't think we did any of the Batmans. Did we?
No.
No, we just talked about it.
I think we've briefly touched on it, but I'm really excited for that conversation. But more so, I'm excited for Nothing Was the Same. So I thought it was time. I've been really open with you guys and your album picks. I've been so open-hearted, open-minded with those. More than I typically am. And I thought after putting in that work, really putting in that effort, that you guys would reciprocate that and you would make it through Nothing Was the Same, not deluxe edition, just the normal edition. And I didn't want to put that one bonus track on you guys, but
thank God. There's actually 2 bonus tracks.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. But yeah, this has been obviously like 2013. I was going into my senior year of high school, so this was like peak high school music for me. This is back before Drake had released 13 albums and people were tired of him. Like, this is really the cusp, the peak of his career. I wouldn't say popularity wise, but at least, he wasn't oversaturated at this point. And I think Nothing Was the Same. Take Care, arguably a great album. I think even Trey likes Take Care. I could be wrong about that. I know that he has listened to it and has some positive things to say, but Nothing Was the Same in my mind is a lot better. I think Drake's flow, his songwriting ability, if he is writing all these songs, which, come on, I mean, we know he's not writing all of them, improved greatly. And this is a good mix of R&B Drake and rap Drake. And the production on it, there's a lot of great production moments, some really good features on it. So I just thought it would be a good Drake album to bring. So let's start it off. Trey, what did you think? How did you listen? Did you get through the whole album? Just go.
I don't want to go first, but
start it off. Because
I'm really, honestly, as curious as I am to hear your reaction to my opinion, I'm really curious to hear how Anthony feels about this. Because Anthony has Anthony has kind of put himself in the camp of not loving modern hip hop, and this is like modern hip hop through and through. I went in with an open mind. Let's call a spade here, Blake. You did a lot more with that Bright Eyes album than I thought you would have. You were nice-ish, kind of. You
started with a compliment.
You started, yep, exactly. It's called a compliment sandwich. It's in Leadership 101.
Yeah.
Anyway, Blake knows he's a man.
Big on that. Big on that.
Yep. Someone told me you weren't supposed to do that one time, and I was like, "Shut the fuck up." That's my thing.
Yeah, I'm always.
But I love you, right? You did a compliment.
Yeah, exactly. But you're right. Anyway, I liked parts of it a lot. It kind of reminded me of some of that era, like the kind of like post Kanye, post 808s, the production and a lot of that stuff really great. I'm not gonna lie, there's some parts where Drake's got bars, like he's riding a beat. E40, I'm assuming, produced a lot of this, or at least had a hand in it.
Yep.
Not E40.
40.
40.
I was about to geek the fuck out and be like, what is happening?
Not E40. Just 40. Yeah, there's definitely some highlights. There's some things that I think you will agree with me that aren't great. There's some of the weird R&B stuff, and then there's one opinion that I have that I'll say towards the end that's just a general dislike of Drake, that I think shines through on a couple of these songs, but not all of them. But like I said, calling a spade here, some of the stuff's really great. So I did enjoy some of it.
All right, I'll take it. Anthony, what did you think? I'm assuming first listen for you, Anthony.
Sure. Yeah, definitely first listen. I think my algorithm may be tainted at this point, but we'll see. But yeah, I enjoy taking things in at least a time or two, because we've said this a lot, in the history of this podcast. There's a first listen and then there's a second listen, and those are worlds apart typically once you have, some sort of bearings into what's going to be presented and how it's going to be presented to you. And there were vibes that I got down with. And then there were many times that I find myself just shaking my head and thinking, like, how hard is Drake really? Like, there's a lot to talk about there, I think. But I'll save that. But either way, like I said, the songs that I really liked, it's funny because there are similarities between those songs. And I think, excuse me, for me, Drake, I mean, in my mind, is best presented as an R&B artist. Like, he has smoothness to the way he delivers his vocals and the way he complements some of these tracks on here. I think it's really nice. But unfortunately, it's very light in this album. Like, there's a lot of there's a pop track, there's some gangster shit. I mean, it's all, there's a lot of different tastes and flavors throughout this album, but I really kind of gravitated towards R&B Drake. And like I said, that smoothness is something that I can get down to in the right context. But yeah, definitely first listen. Blake, were you aware when this album came out, right?
Yeah, I bought it a hard copy when it first came out. So
now, is there two hard copies? Because I was trying to read about this album cover, because there's a version with him as a baby, and then there's a version of adult Drake. Is that two?
Yeah,
so you have to buy both to have both.
So adult Drake,
images.
The adult Drake one is the deluxe version, and baby Drake is the normal version. So the version that I bought came as grown up Drake. Trey's raising his hand. Yes, Trey.
This is my new follow-up question thing. So to continue answering, then when you're done, I got a follow-up question.
Okay. So yeah, it didn't come with both discs. It's one disc with the two bonus tracks. And something that's interesting is Trey referred to a second bonus track, which is The Motion. And it's not on Spotify. I think there was some sort of copyright issue with that, because it was on my CD. And when I got to it, I was really confused. Yeah, because I don't know when he recorded it. I guess he recorded it around that time. But yeah, it's not on Spotify, but it is on my hard copy, which I thought was cool. But yeah, that's the difference in the covers. But Trey, what's your follow-up question?
So do you think that The Baby is kind of an homage to one Mr. Lil Wayne Carter that also has a baby on Carter 3, which is, I think at that point was the last Carter to come out when this came out, right? Or had Carter 4 come out?
No, Carter 4 had come out, but he was a baby.
He's also a baby in one. Yeah, he's baby in Carter 4 too.
I think so, but the hip hop artists do that a lot, because Biggie's, Ready to Die. He's like Mike, that, but yeah, I thought it was. I think it's a cool cover. I like
it's an iconic cover.
Yeah,
I mean, like, you know exactly what it is.
Right. So simplistic. So I really enjoyed that. Anything else, Anthony? Any other questions before we jump into it?
In time, I think. Well, just like as this album come out, is it a big reception, or is everyone like, "Oh shit, you heard the new Drake"? Like this shit's like, what's that reception like?
Yeah, and that was the thing is like,
everyone's young, and I get it.
Right. You have to go back in time to like, you have to understand. Think about your high school Lil Wayne releases, right? When you were in high school and the Carter 3 came out or whatever it was, right? For, better or worse, Drake really is that for a lot of people my age. And so when Nothing Was the Same came out, like it was, I mean, even like my friends that don't like Drake, like Zach, John, Randy, Jalen, I think, Jalen likes Drake, but we were all listening to it. I had it in the car constantly, and it was very much a topic of discussion. So yeah, it was interesting. And it's interesting to see, like, despite everything that he's been through, he still somehow holds on to that appeal. Like every time there's a Drake release, and I don't love his music now. I think he should have stopped after Scorpion, but even when he releases an album now, it's like it dominates the internet for however many days and then goes on to the next one. He just has that mass appeal. That's kind of crazy,
What do you, any thoughts on as to why? Is it just like Drake hasn't done enough like shit that people hate to for everyone to shift gears? Because he does have that persona still, and now with the feud amongst them, you have people choosing sides or even still gravitating more towards him, just considering the circumstances. It is interesting how an artist like that enters the zeitgeist, but ask me why, and I'd be clueless too.
I think, and Trey probably has some thoughts on this too, I think that him and Taylor Swift, they're both like, they're economic behemoths, right? They make billions of dollars, and their tours have an economic effect wherever they go. I think both of them, they hit their peak at the right time. Like Nothing Was the Same was right as streaming was becoming what it is now. So you have to think from Nothing Was the Same solid like physical release, anything after that was all streaming, and so it was just so easily accessible. And like I was talking to some friends of mine earlier about like streaming as a whole, and you have to realize like Nothing Was the Same. He had dropped Take Care into Nothing Was the Same, and they were both widely regarded as like fantastic hip hop albums. So to ride that into the streaming era, I think just propelled him to heights that were never like, it wasn't going to stop. It wasn't going to slow down at that point. Trey, do you agree with that sentiment?
Well, first off, give Thank Me Later, Sunflowers, because that album's pretty good. His debut is pretty great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. I think the reason that Drake has kind of hung around, I think he's the most streamed artist in Spotify history, right?
Yeah, and he's been the most, and he's been the most streamed hip hop artist for 10 years, every single year.
He just does a lot of things well. In my opinion, he doesn't do anything great. And I don't want to get. Yeah, I think there's shines of it for sure, and I think I can kind of go into my top three from here because it kind of segues pretty well. But like, there's some things he does that are very unique, and he like kind of when he hits it really well. And then for me, a lot of the other stuff falls pretty flat. So without further ado, I'd be happy to hop into my top three.
Yeah, hit it.
All right, number. I've been
kind of got three choices.
I know. Number 3 for me is 305 to My City.
Really interesting.
Yeah, I like that track. I like this like kind of it's Drake sounding a little bit more like hip hop. Like, hey, I've got this like this whole movement's like on my back. He has a couple bars just about like how he's a top dog now, or like how he's eating good or some shit like that, which I really enjoyed. And I also like the production on it. And for some reason, I'm having some weird sound issues, so I can't get my Spotify to play through my speakers. Are y'all hearing on your end?
No.
Huh. Anyway, what are you going to do? Now it's coming through my actual speakers.
Do you know what 305 is, Trey?
I assume that it is an interstate of some capacity.
It may be.
What is it?
I always thought... I think 305 is Miami's area code, because I feel like I've heard a lot of rappers, 305 till I die.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong.
Is that what it is?
not an area code aficionado, but I will look it up while you keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 2 is Pound Cake, Paris Morton Music 2. I like the little Jay-Z feature at the end. I think that kind of like the space that song gives is really cool. And I like his like.
I was gonna say it's not even a little feature. Jay has 2 verses on that song. He has 2 full verses, which is crazy to me. Sorry.
Yeah, and like no, that's kind of what I think Jay-Z came out with. And I want to take a minute or two to talk about all the albums that came out in 2013 for hip hop. It was like
oh my god, it was definitely the year
of the 2010s. But Jay-Z, like I think Magna Carta, Holy Grail came out in the summer because I remember they premiered it at a basketball game. So this came out kind of after that. So this was like Magna Carta was kind of a resurgence for Jay-Z as far as like actually rapping goes. Like he didn't win anywhere from the culture, but he went somewhere like, you know, he had put out shit albums for, you know, a couple years before that. I think we did Blueprint 3 here, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And then my number one album or number one song, I think this might be my favorite Drake song ever, Tuscan Leather. That shit rides.
So hard.
Absolutely rides. And like it's sick, like on the third verse, he's like, how much time has this friend spending on the intro lately? I've been feeling like Guy Pearce in Memento. Like and like he's like, it's a 6.5 minute song.
Yeah, or, it's insane, dude. It doesn't stop.
And like the reverse, like it's like a reverse record type of thing, which Anthony, I'm sure you enjoyed at least a little bit, where it like sounded like someone was playing something in reverse, and they kind of used that, like chop that up and use that for the basis of the beat. Was sick. And then obviously the bar, like A-B, I got your CD, you get an E for effort. I mean, you know, we love a little wordplay, especially letters.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my top 3.
Nice. That's very. I'm shocked by 305 My City, but I like it. It's a good pick.
Sure. Well, just wait till you get to my bottoms.
Okay. All right, Anthony, you got it.
All right. So, like I mentioned, you know, there's a general theme to the songs I picked, and after listening to it again, they all feature a piano in it. I think that vibe again with Drake's voice is very pleasant and it is pleasing to my ears to hear that. So with number 3, I have Furthest Thing, and it's really all up until the last minute and a half, and I don't know why they would make the choice to do this switch up mid or towards the end of the song, because the first, you know, chunk is so vibey and so smooth and so like very melodic, right? But then it kind of picks up to a more upbeat tempo in the last minute and a half. So either way, Furthest Thing made it on there. My number 2 track is From Time. I think him and this feature is a beautiful combination.
Gene Aoki or Gene it's Gene Aoko, right?
Yeah.
Or Aoko.
I was about to say I will butcher her name, so I'm glad you got there for me. But like I said, I think that's beautiful. Like I would really, has he ever done a full like to the floor R&B project?
No, I mean he starts to get way more R&B later in his career. Like to me, Views is very R&B, and Scorpion is the same way. Scorpion's long; it's like 30 tracks. It's a double album.
Wow.
But no, I mean unless you count the P&D album that he just dropped.
I do not.
But no, like, nothing like this. Like nothing like an album like this song.
Because I think Drake has a good voice. Like I think a voice that can be presented musically in a very nice way, or a very pleasing way, versus an aggressive type of rap, you know, Eminem hard style type of, you know, chops that doesn't resonate with me coming from Drake's mouth. But like songs like this, I mean, I would really, that's a show I would totally go see, you know, a stripped down. And if you tell me Drake plays piano, would become more of a fan of him. Because that vibe sounds and feels so right. And then just imagine him just bringing out vocalists to complement that would be such a sick show.
True.
But so yeah, give it one more shot, Blake. Who's the feature?
Gene Aoko, I think, or Aiko. I know it's Gene. I know first name.
Shout out Gene, yeah, because that's a fire ass.
I kind of forgot about that song, but that definitely I would consider that an honorable mention for me.
Yeah,
that song's beautiful.
Yeah. And
wait, real quick for that song, just because I'm not going to mention it in mine. I love when he says, "You're a flower child, beautiful child. I'm in your zone, looking like you came from the '70s on your own. My mother's 66, and her favorite line to hit me with is who the fuck wants to be 70 and alone." That's such a good line, dude.
It's heavy
I love
too.
that line.
It's heavy.
100%.
And that's that like being able to, you know, express heavy themes with beauty, I think is such a cool delivery. Again, I would pay to go see some stuff like that, but we'll see if it ever happens. Number one track for me is Too Much. It's second to last song on the album, but it is so fucking good. It blends this piano and this kind of melody with this sick beat pattern that's happening in the background, and the way Drake comes in with his vocals, I think, is ideal delivery. Again, it's right when that piano kind of stops and that bass hits, and then he's delivering, but not in an overpower. He's not overpowering it. It's very complimentary, and again, that to me hits me right where I want it to. So, Too Much is my number one track, and that feature is it Sampha?
Yeah,
Sampha. Yeah,
Sampha.
Shout out Sampha. We'll take it.
Yeah, you very much pick the songs that are like late night driving music. Like that's when I would listen to.
That's when I would listen
late night driving music. 100%.
Partying to Drake. I'm cruising smooth.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so mine I have. So number 3 for me is Connect, and I love the production on the song. It's slowed down, and it really is kind of R&B to me. Now he does rap a little bit towards the end, but I love, this is another nighttime driving song, and I just love so many of the lyrics in it and just how slow it is, and the production on it. And I love she just want to run around the city and make memories that she can barely remember, and I'd allow her talk about pussy power. And then at the end, he says, at the end, the third verse is when he's like really rapping, and the beat changes towards the end when he switches to the third verse. And I love when he says, "Summer's coming, no, you could feel it, 20 on pump, whatever, I ain't got enough to feel it." And I love that because like that was me in high school. Like, I don't have enough to fill it. Like, I'm just gonna put 20 on the pump. We'll see how far it gets me, And there's such a nostalgia factor to so many of these songs that really brings me back. So had to put Connect on there.
Yeah, that was all of us in high school too.
Yeah,
by the way,
true.
Yeah.
Quick question, just for the two of you: Have you ever driven a car and it run out of gas?
Oh, Trey has like 30 times.
What about you?
No, I have not.
17 times actually, and that is not a made up number. That is 1,000% fact. Matter of fact, I was staying at a hotel. I used to not be allowed in the building, and now I was on the rooftops type moment where I was in Auburn and I was looking down at McDonald's. Yeah, shout out Wiz. And I ran out of gas in that McDonald's drive-through one time, and I was like up there, and I was like, yeah, I've come a long way.
Dude,
hey, squeeze every drop out of that gas.
There was a time, I shit you not, this is a real story. There was a time where I was driving through Auburn, and I was probably 16 at the time, but I had people in the car, and I was driving somewhere, and they're like, "Yo, who stopped in the middle of an intersection?" And it was fucking Trey. I was like, dude, that's Trey Seville. That's his Hummer. He ran out of gas.
So
hard to be discreet in that thing.
Too long for it said my fucking last name on it. So yeah, it was a little hard to be discreet. That's one way to put it.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah, we can talk about that for days, but I used to run out of gas a lot. I kind of thought it was fun. It was like a fun little, like, hey, how can you work your way out of this problem that you put yourself in type situation.
So weird.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
So number 2 for me, and I know this is, try not to react when I say this because I know it's going to be on someone's bottom because you guys didn't mention it, but my number 2 is The Language. Okay. And some say that the Kendrick beef started here. There's an alleged rumor that the first line is about Kendrick. I don't know why they've been lying, but your shit is not that inspiring. That is the first line of the song. Now we don't know, it's a subliminal. That's the point of subliminals, but I like to believe it is a shot at Kendrick. But I just love, I love the chorus. I love, this is a good rap song for me from Drake. And I'm kind of with you, Anthony, and I really like R&B Drake. Like I do. And I was talking to some friends of mine that are big Drake fans. They felt the same way. Like they think he's a better R&B artist than he is a rapper. But there are times where he raps really well. And I love, even the start of the second verse, I'm about to roll one and light it and fuck him, man, no one's invited. I gotta kill off the weak shit that's got all you brothers excited. Like the way that he raps in that song, I just really, really like, especially the end of that second verse. So the language, number 2 for me. And then number 1, Tuscan Leather. Like, this is the perfect intro song. And there's 3 different beats in this song. There's 2 beat changes. It changes dramatically going into the third verse. But man, he just, like, the production is so good, and Drake is rapping his fucking ass off, like Trey said. And I love at the end when he says, life is sounding crazy, 40 on Martin Scorsese, and I wouldn't change a thing if you paid me. And then at the end, the Curtis Mayfield kind of send off. That's like, I assume, and I don't know who Curtis Mayfield is. Do you guys know who he is?
He's off the breaks. I think that's who sings that song. But it's an old school artist.
Yeah, he's a
like
soul
an old,
performer,
like kind of soul R&B guy.
Yeah, but I love if we may, we would just like to close off with a bit something a little bit inspirational, hopefully something a bit relevant to us all. As having the same fears, shedding similar tears, and of course dying in so many years, it don't mean that we can't have a good life. And what's really interesting about it is there's a theory that Drake was meant for this album to be played backwards. And if you listen to it as this being the last track, that makes a lot of sense for the closing statement of the album, because he's talking about, we want to close off with something for food for thought. So I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, Tuscan Leather, there's not a better Drake intro track out there, and goddamn, he's rapping his ass off. So, and then just real quick, some honorable mentions. I had Pound Cake. Jay-Z snapped. Like, I always get hype when I hear cake. Like, I love his verse. And then I also had this one. This song has grown on me immensely, but Hold On, We're Going Home. That's an honorable mention for me. That song has really, really grown on me. And I hated it when it first came out. I really, really hated it. But now I'm kind of vibing to it.
What do you like about it?
I like
what changed, I guess, over time.
To me, like, this song is such a weird, like, pop R&B thing. I'm sure Trey's fixing his audio. Yeah. That this song is such a weird mixture of pop and R&B. And at the time, like, when I was in high school, this is like the antithesis of what I would listen to in music. Just the sing-songy, like, upbeat, like, pop beat to it, but something
down.
Yeah. It's like, it's such a high school girl song. Like, that's how I feel about it.
It's so poppy.
But for some reason now, like, it has just grown on me. It just makes me happy. I like bob my head to it. Like, I just kind of get down to it. So that's kind of changed for me, you know?
Well, I mean, I have that as my number 3 bottom track. And the reason why is because his voice is so distinctly different on this song. He's singing different throughout the whole song, right?
Yep.
That's Drake. So like, I was like very taken aback, because trying to decipher again whose voice am I hearing, because I don't recognize the feature's name. But I was so curious, because like, if you would have played me that song and just put headphones on me and said, guess who the artist is, I would have been completely taken aback when you told me it was Drake.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really the reason why Hold On, We're Going Home gets number 3 bottom for me. My number 2 bottom track is excuse me, it's Own It. It just is, well, Wu-Tang Forever and Own It are my top 1 and 2 bottom tracks, and they complement each other in a weird way, because Wu-Tang Forever, in that song, he's you know, he's doing this seductive voice, which I'm not a fan of in that song. But
why did it make you feel something? Is that why you
don't like it? Be honest.
It's really turned off. That's what it did to me. It did the opposite of seducing me. But he does this thing where it's like, whose is it? It's yours, in that song, and he says it a ton. I wrote "It's yours" with a little infinity sign next to it, because it happens so much. And then in Own It, the intro of the song, he kind of brings it back. Guess whose it is? Guess whose it is? And I'm like, we know. It's yours. We get it. And then he says it again. So like, I just couldn't get out of my head for that sequence. So yeah, Wu-Tang Forever, Own It. And I honorable mention, bad song for me, your bottom track is Worst Behavior. those 3 tracks really, that's right in the middle of the album, and I was like, take a deep breath. We're almost there. Like, but I got some good at the end too. So
Yeah.
like I said, not a terrible experience for me by any means, but there were points that I was like, come on, Drake, like, did you really start from the bottom? Like, did you?
I will say that I love the production on Own It. I do the Own It gets kind of annoying, but it's this wompy, like slowed down, like bass heavy production that I really, really enjoy. It's like I would almost like to have an instrumental of it. I really like the production, but I agree with you. It gets pretty repetitive and pretty annoying.
There is experimental production happening in this album, especially for 2013. Like there are offset beat patterns, that are not necessarily meant to be fully rhythmic, that are very interesting to hear and ballsy to put out at that time. So like, yeah, producers behind the scenes working on this, there's some gems in here. And now I think my like issue with hip hop now, or at least the listening experience, is that I've gotten so like, I've trained myself to just zone out vocals and isolate instrumentals in my head when I'm hearing things. So like those will stick out. And that's why I think sometimes when samples are just annoying to me, it really can just turn me off. But in this case, vocals are kind of just like making me feel different things. But I agree. The production there's some really good shit in here production wise.
Definitely. Trey, bottom tracks. Are you back? Is your audio okay?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
I'll tell you about later. Okay, so bottom tracks. Here's the thing. The things that I like about Drake as a macro aren't very many, because my biggest issue with Drake is I believe just in my heart of hearts he's an industry plant. I think he has a team of writers behind him. He was brought on by Lil Wayne. He was a child actor. So like all of my negativity thing doesn't necessarily result from the sound that he creates or has or is the face of, but just the general concept that he's not like a real person. You know what I mean? I mean, he's like a real person. Like you can touch him and stuff, but like he's not like a real, he's not really writing this shit. He's not really making this shit. So my bottom 3 tracks all like, for example, I think Tuscan Leather might be something he would actually have wanted to make, but my bottom 3 track, number 1, Hold On, We're Going Home. I bet he didn't love that when that was brought to him, right? Like that.
Maybe it's kind of indicative of where he went moving forward after.
But sure, wouldn't you think he goes, "Oh, we can make some shit off of this"?
I think that his record label goes, "Oh, we can make some shit off of this. You get in the room. You get in the room. You get in the room." So I think Hold On Going Home, that song's a good example of that. I just don't really like much of the album after that, except for 305 to My City and Pound Cake / Paris Morton Music 2, which is a weird name for a song, by the way. And my second to last track is Come Through, the closer. Just kind of like that weird in-between sing-songy Drake sound that I don't love. And then my number 1 bottom track, by and far, the one that I've made fun of for as long as I can remember, is Started From the Bottom. Is the beat hot? Absolutely. That beat is extremely hot. It's sick. If you just isolated that beat and played it, like, absolutely. But fact of the matter is, Drake, you didn't start from the bottom,
right?
Like you started as little Jimmy from Degrassi. Like, bro,
but what was he doing before that? Was he at the bottom? He could have been.
I don't know. He was like 12.
I mean, he's in Canada, so it's like the top, right?
Could have
technically,
been.
From a directional standpoint, he was quite. I mean, he even.
You don't know about the 6, Trey. You don't know about the 6.
He told me all about the 6. Like being the hardest guy. We've had this discussion so many times. It's like having a seizure, but like. He's the hardest guy from Toronto, Canada. Like, all right, cool. Word, I'm the hardest guy. I come from the streets of Helena, bro. So, like, don't start with me. Yeah, I mean, like, what's the first line? He's like, I've kept it real from the jump. Living at my mama's house, we'd argue every month. Like, they were getting in arguments over whether he was having Lucky Charms or, like, Rice Krispies for breakfast. Like, when he was 8, when he was living in his mama's house. And then he became a child actor at, like, 10. So,
it was early.
That's my big gripe. That's my big negativity thing.
I think that Drake now, and this has been corroborated by other artists too, but I don't argue that. I think Thank Me Later, Take Care heavily written and influenced by other people. There's a song on Take Care called Lord Knows, and go listen to that song. It is a Lil Wayne verse.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because
I think we talked about that before.
Because he's saying stuff that like makes sense for Lil Wayne to say. Like there's a line that's like,
I got a long dress.
How it grows.
It's not that blatant, but it's basically like, you know, a lot of people came up off of a style that I made up. And if all I hear is me, then who should I be afraid of? Like that's the Lil Wayne line. I'm sorry, but it is. And I think with Nothing Was the Same, he started to transition out of that. Now I think Drake, and this may be why there's been a decline in his quality. I think now he writes all of his music. And there's even when he recorded his Churchill Downs verse, which is a Jack Harlow song, there's other artists that were in the room that were like, I watched him write it when he was at Churchill Downs, like for the Kentucky Derby. He wrote it there in one sitting. So I'm sure he's writing things now. As for this far back, yeah, I think there's heavy influence and there's writing credits on these songs, right?
And that doesn't inherently make the product bad. I think there's there's songs on this that are good that like I enjoy. There's all kinds of artists. I mean, fucking I love Led Zeppelin, and they ripped off a lot of people. You know, like that's just a known thing. It's not that everything has to come from your creative space, but at the same time, when it's so disingenuous that it's like hard to look away from, like I'm just not going to be able to enjoy that. Such as Started From the Bottom.
Yeah, I would have really loved just any mention of Wayne or something like that helped him from the bottom. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like leverage that was done by other artists.
He started from the upper middle class, and now
he started about the middle, a little upper middle, So.
And now he's here, which is still a long journey.
It is a long journey. He is on the top. All right, Blake, do you have bottoms left? I'm sorry, I had to step away for a second.
That's okay. Yeah, so I have I only have two. Sorry, broke the rule. But Started From the Bottom is there. Like I don't like this song. I don't think there's a single redeeming quality, and the beat is not good enough to overlook how fucking annoying this song is. And I think it's also because
or are you saying it's not good enough?
It's not good enough to overlook and another problem is like this song got ran into the fucking ground, dude. It was everywhere. Even like going into college, like through my entire college career, people played this song at parties, and I was just so tired of it. Like so fucking. And here's the thing: he released arguably his next album. If you're reading this, it's too late. Like people say, those three are like his three-peat, his chunk, his good ones. He released another good album with a bunch of bangers on there, and they kept playing Started From the fucking Bottom, man. Like, turn this shit off. God damn. And then I had Worst Behavior. This is like kind of the same vibe as Started From the Bottom, but like, fucking never loved us. Fucking never loved us. Like, all right, man. Like, cool. I get it. Shit's hard. People don't like you. Like, that's fine. But man, I hate this beat, and I hate how he raps on it. Like, those two songs, man, if you took those, it's how I feel about when Playing With Fire got replaced with Pussy Monster, and it ruined.
Stop. That's a tragedy.
That's how bad Worst Behavior and Started From the Bottom are for me. So, and I'll never. I'm telling you, I don't think that'll ever change. I don't think that'll ever change. So, those are my bottoms.
Nothing will ever change. Amazing.
Yeah. Nothing. And you know what? 10 years from now, some things will be the same, and it will be that I hate those songs.
Yeah, fair. There you go.
Nice.
All right. So, any thoughts before we get into rankings?
Well, because Trey brought up, or y'all both brought up, like these kind of conspiracy, or that Drake has been there. May be ghostwriters, or he may be platformed by the record labels, but like, is Blake, your Spotify Wrapped could be some evidence in that direction, right?
Well,
if you say you don't listen to him,
because that's actually what his lawsuit. And I don't really want to talk about the whole feud thing because honestly, it's been worn through.
Yeah,
much like Started From the Bottom. But that's what his lawsuit centers around. His lawsuit says that it's Capitol Records, right? Universal.
It's Universal.
Universal. That Universal conspired with Spotify to make Not Like Us like pop in people's algorithms. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that song bangs. You walk down the street and 14 people are playing it, like straight up. Is it also worn through? Yeah, but that doesn't mean people won't love it. But that's what his lawsuit basically saying. What you're saying happened to Blake's Spotify Wrapped, but with Kendrick.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. It was kind of just a callback to Blake always saying, you know, I'm not listening to Drake every day, but
I think
he
this
keeps
guy's
popping
listening
up
to
on my
Drake
Spotify
every
rap.
single day.
I know.
Hey,
He's got
here's the
digital
thing.
versions of his shit.
Here's the thing. I had
Is
to
it when
make
you're
sure. I
Is that
had
what
to
it
make
is?
sure that Drake sucked, so I listened to the album 10 times.
Right.
Doing
And
research
he
out
does
there.
suck still, but if he shows up in my rap, it's because I did it for the pod. Hashtag
That's the
did it for the pod.
commitment. That's the commitment that Blake brings to this platform.
Right, exactly. Okay, so real quick, I just wanted to say it went platinum in its first year, sold 1.3 million in 2013, and at that point, I'm assuming it was basically all physical records. And then as of 2016, 1.8 million. I don't know where it's at now with the streaming numbers, so I'm assuming somewhere in the 3 or 4 millions. And then, do we want to take a guess on Rolling Stone out of 5, or nothing was the same? Anthony.
2. I'm gonna say they give it a 2.
I would say 3.
They gave it a 4.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me because the thing about some of this production is like this is pretty cutting edge shit in 2013.
Yeah,
as far as
100%.
like things for people to
But
rap
also,
to.
if there's a wave and Drake is the wave, I mean, if you're a corporation or if you're a media outlet, you're likely just going to hop on that wave. I mean, versus taking a stance in the opposite direction, which maybe Pitchfork did. I don't know, but either way.
Let's go to Pitchfork. So out of 10, what do you think Pitchfork rated it?
I bet Pitchfork gave it 7.5.
I just want to go like 5, and I'll take the under of 5.
So I'm going to read their first sentence because I really like it, but they gave it an 8.6, which is very high for Pitchfork.
Very high, especially for rap music for Pitchfork too.
But it says Drake has gone from an unlikely rapper to an accepted rapper to maybe the biggest rapper out all in 4 years, and he's the genre's biggest pop crossover star. His new album is a dimly lit affair, both morose and triumphant. As Drake albums go, this is the Drakiest. Which I loved. So yeah, 8.6. So now, big moment. Trey, what do you rate Nothing Was the Same?
I give it a 6.5.
Okay.
I think there's some very redeemable qualities, but not quite enough for it to be a 7. But did enjoy, especially the first half of the record while I listened to it as the sun was going down, because you asked that earlier. Just to answer that question.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Anthony?
So I agree, it does have some redeeming qualities. So it gave it a little boost for me, but it's still sub Trey's rating. So I give this a 5.5. And I did cross reference like old hip hop albums that I'd listened to, because I do rate emotionally, and the stuff I like really does carry it. But the stuff I don't like really sinks it.
That is metric
kind of right in the middle.
Metric driven data decisions right there.
Yeah,
we're trying.
I think that I don't think Drake is capable of creating a perfect album. I don't think he's Lil Wayne. I don't think he's Eminem. I don't think he has that ability. I will tell you this. This is my favorite Drake album. I think it is his best album. And with that being said, I'm giving it a 9.5. I love Nothing Was the Same. You know what? I don't like Drake. I don't like Drake, but I love Nothing Was the Same.
I mean, I feel like you kind of like Drake a little bit.
I hate Drake. I think he sucks.
I don't think that's true.
Let the record show.
Nothing Was the Same is a great album.
Before we hop into Roads or Dodes, I wanted to talk about all of the albums that came out in 2013, because Chad and I, when we were one of the reasons he was going to be on the pod, we were kind of chatting through just like 2013 hip hop albums. Are you ready for this, Blake?
I know. I think
even you remember.
This is all going to be surprises for me, because I was really checked out at 2013.
Doris from Earl Sweatshirt, Acid Rap from Chance the Rapper, Yeezus from Kanye, My Name Is My Name, Pusha T's debut, Nothing Was the Same, Drake, Marshall Mathers LP 2 by Eminem, Born Sinner by J. Cole, J. Cole's debut, Watching Movies with the Sound Off, Mac Miller's major move into fucking awesomeness, Long Live ASAP, arguably the best record on this list by A$AP Rocky, Magna Carta Holy Grail by Jay-Z. There was a Ghostface Killah album that came out. There was a Danny Brown, who I don't particularly care for, album that came out. The first Run the Jewels album came out in 2013. I Am Not a Human Being 2, which is pretty decent in retrospect, by Wayne, came out. Wolf by Tyler, the Creator, Because the Internet by Childish Gambino, Indie Cut by Kid Cudi.
Yeah.
Hold on.
God, we were eating. God, we were eating. We didn't know.
Summer Nights by Joey Badass. Like, dude, 2013 was just
I wish there was a way to know you were in the good times before.
When you're in the good times.
Yeah, while you were still in the good times.
I remember that watching movies, Yeezus and Born Center all came out on the same day. It was like June 4th or something.
Yep. Straight to Best Buy.
Straight to Best Buy in
the Jeep. All
three. 2 of the 3. I did not buy Yeezus.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Damn. Yeah. What a fucking year, man. 100%.
Yeah, I did a tally while you were listing them out, Trey, and I think I had listened to maybe 4 of those.
I mean, that's
and I have
pretty
16
solid.
of unlistened of those.
25%. Yeah.
That's
I mean, it's
crazy.
Early in those guys' career too, right? I mean,
those
Tyler's
are
kind of
all
on his way up, so like J. Cole's on his way up,
Yeah.
So
yeah. And you know what's weird is I don't know how or why I was into J. Cole that early, because I bought the record, but J. Cole didn't have. Well, he had one album. He had the Sideline Story.
It was pretty gassed up too, though, because it was like his major label debut, and like he had all these features and stuff before.
And Jay-Z probably helped that too.
Jay-Z kind of gassed him up. Yeah,
that's why.
You were told to like J. Cole. That's why you liked J. Cole,
and it worked.
And it worked.
Still love him to this day.
Yep.
Not going anywhere. All right, sweet. Well, look, I gotta say, man, thank you guys for going in with an open mind.
Thank us later. Thank me later.
Yeah, you can thank you can thank me now.
It was more positive than I expected. You guys listened to the whole thing. You had some good tracks, so I appreciate it. And how do you guys? Are you surprised by your reactions to it, or is this about what you thought, or did you think it was going to be awful?
I thought I was going to have a worse time. I did, just because I just had low expectations, and I like doing that with artists and then letting them surpass it, because it kind of gives me a whole different light on it. But yeah, like I said, the R&B stuff, I could get down with that in the right setting, and I think more of that would be super sick. But the other stuff, I'll leave it where it's at.
Trey, were you shocked?
I was surprised at how much I enjoyed what I enjoyed. I was not surprised by my disdain for what I knew I wasn't gonna like when Just Hold On, We're Going Home came on. Like, I didn't realize it at first. And then as soon as that note came in, I was like, motherfucker, here we go. But outside of that, no, I thought, or not outside of that, but outside of the things that I knew I wasn't going to like, the things I enjoyed a lot more than I anticipated. So nice. I would say general positive reaction.
Cool.
Yeah.
But I hate Drake.
Yeah, same. We all do. So me and both of you, I'm included in that.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, let's get into Rides or Dies. I want to go last because it'll transition well. So Trey, do you want to lead us off?
Yeah, but I actually don't remember what I sent this time.
Okay. It's a Leonard Skinner song. Okay.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah. So my song, it is A Perfect Circle. Maynard Keenan's side band doing the cover of When the Levee Breaks. They have this whole album, maybe like 12 songs, all covers. It's called Emotive, A Perfect Circle Emotive, and they all are like anti-war protest covers. But this song, this bass line could fucking go on in my dreams all night long. And I think it's a super stripped down rendition of this song. But again, it's haunting and it's beautiful. And his vocals, the way they kind of carry the end of the song, are really special. So you mentioned, Trey, that Led Zeppelin has jacked a bunch of songs. This would be one of them. And we talked about it, I think, in the past. But Memphis Minnie and Kansas Joe McCoy are the original writers. But
I didn't know that about this song specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did get to see that Led Zeppelin documentary too. It's very much worth seeing. And it just highlights the whole genesis of Led Zeppelin and where each of them got these songs from and kind of brought it to the table.
Cool.
But yeah, what y'all think about this version?
I'm a massive When the Levee Breaks fan, and I think that just set me off on the wrong foot, because this doesn't sound anything like When the Levee Breaks. Does it sound like it to you guys?
Well, that's kind of the point of it, is like a full reimagining.
Right, but I guess when I went into it, I thought it would be
Maynard Keenan
just more similar, not in that sense, but just like musically. I don't know. There's parts of When the Levee Breaks, the Zeppelin version, that I feel like is missing here. I do love his voice, and it's angelic as shit. And it's not a dies, and the rules are, if it does not die, it must ride. So I'm giving it a rides, but there was more potential here. I'll say that. I'll say that. Trey.
Okay. I think that's kind of fair. I really enjoyed this. I ended up listening to some select cuts from the album. I don't really like. Yeah, Imagine what didn't, but What's Going On I thought was very, very cool.
Yeah.
I don't really like Tool. I don't really like Maynard James Keenan. Just like I don't particularly enjoy their music, but I really liked this song. And I really liked the What's Going On, the Marvin Gaye cover too.
Fuck yeah.
It's very like all of it is haunting.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like, I guess, Tool's whole thing. So maybe I'll be a little more open to Tool in the future, but probably not. But I really like this. So this gets a hard rides for me.
Fuck yeah.
Wrong. Everything you said about Tool, wrong. Your
like
opinion on them, wrong. I fucking love Tool.
I didn't know that. I saw him at Bonnaroo and I was like, I don't get this.
So did I, and I was like, this fucking rocks.
Here's the thing. I mean, you see Tool at a live show. I saw Tool at the BJCC, and I was literally the only person on their feet in the whole bleachers around the entire arena. And I'm
the
losing
person
it
sitting behind you was not happy.
I talked to them early on, and I said, look,
I
have a feeling of how this is going to go, and I'm going to express myself. So you can join me or not, but it was a hell of a show. But they do big productions, you know, and in fact, they're doing a festival, I think, or they just did one at, you know, those resort festivals in Mexico, and people were upset because they played the similar songs.
They only sold 2-day passes though, and they played the same set essentially 2 days in a row.
Right. I mean, Tool's set list curation is very interesting. But for me, I'll tell you straight up, for me, it's a chance. Like if they played Numa 2 nights in a row, I'm going to lose myself 2 nights in a row because that song live is fucking climactic as fuck, you know, but I never got that vibe from any other fans at Tool shows that were in the bleachers, at least, because I'm like, how are you not losing everything to this music right now?
Yeah.
But we should go see Tool live, and we'll drag Trey out there.
Trey's still making a face. He did not like that.
I would be pretty upset if I spent the amount of money that it takes to go to a destination festival for 2 nights of a band, and they played like 8 of the same songs both nights. It wasn't like they played 1 or 2.
Yeah, like, I agree. That would, not a good move.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Where's the creativity?
Yeah, where's the
Numa gets played, it saves it.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe Numa Trio got played. Shout out fucking Alex B and company.
No.
Okay, my song was shit. I forgot it again. That's y'all don't realize like how Lynyrd Skynyrd. And the song that I chose by Lynyrd Skynyrd is "If I'm Wrong." The Shade Tree demo. Lynyrd Skynyrd is one of those bands you think you know Lynyrd Skynyrd and you don't know Lynyrd Skynyrd because they are really, really good Southern blues rock. A lot of times you'll be sitting in a cool coffee shop, which is where I heard this, where you see a really pretty girl who's playing this playlist. Yeah, it's that same playlist.
Oh God, Trey, anyway, make a move or move on, man.
I can't.
Throw some Drake in that playlist. See what happens.
Just hold on, we're going back to my house. Anyway, so this is on that playlist, but this is really good. I like it a lot. It's like a lot of things I like about Southern rock. And Eddie Van Zant's the lead singer of Lynyrd Skynyrd, right? And he absolutely just shreds this vocally. So what'd y'all think?
I dug it.
Anthony, go ahead.
Yeah, so I thought it was fucking sick. I mean, it's a demo, first off. Like, just we have to recognize that it's a demo. It's not a fully furnished, produced track ready for the masses. But it is a really interesting song. I mean, it's caricature Lynyrd Skynyrd. It's got blues, it's got rhythm, it's got a guitar solo at the end. I mean, and the vocals are they harmonize very well. I mean, it's just vintage, you know. So I like it for what it is. I don't listen to Lynyrd Skynyrd a whole lot, but probably because I've heard it just too much regularly. But it is a genre of music that I can always go into if I wanted to. So it rides for me.
Thank you. Blake, you piece of shit. What do you think?
I don't know, man. I don't like what sucks is I really love the beginning of this and like it is very bluesy and then like the vocals come in and I'm like, why did you do this to me? Why did you take this from me?
That part.
Yes. And just I don't know. Lynyrd Skynyrd not for me. And I heard it so much growing up in Alabama that like I wanted to like it and I wanted to see the other side. And I really love the guitar, but man, just the vocals really took me out. And how many members are in this band? The picture on Spotify, there's like 13 of them sitting on a thing. Like,
I think they're just vibing.
You got families in that.
Yeah, I think. Okay.
Well, you know, a lot of them died in a plane crash.
Oh, I did know that. I did know that.
And also his name was Ronnie Van Zant, not Eddie Van Zant. I was thinking Eddie Van Halen. Anyway,
that family though is massive. There's a lot of Van Zants.
A lot of them died.
Interesting.
In weird ways.
Well, this song also dies, so there's some.
Fair enough.
In a weird way.
Okay, so for me, I picked "What's Up, Danger," which is from the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie soundtrack. And the whole soundtrack is super fucking banging. If you have not listened to it, there's a lot of gems on there. Sunflower by Post Malone's on there. It's one of his diamond tracks. People love that fucking song. There's a Juice WRLD song on there, which I really like. There's some good ones, but I chose What's Up Danger because this song is just, man, it just makes me want to run through a fucking brick wall. And I don't know Black Way or Black Caviar, but I really like this song. It just really gets me hype. And I think it's used in the movie perfectly, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So yeah, I brought it to you guys. What'd you think?
Trey?
Oh, me? I think it rides. Honestly, I wish I would have had a little more time with it to listen to it. Like to think about it more critically, you know, because you kind of send it there at the last second, but I'm just
it's true. Literally the last second.
No, it's great. The way they use this entire soundtrack is absolutely phenomenal. It's probably, you know, Kendrick did the Black Panther soundtrack, and then this was curated by, I think, someone who's like pretty close to the movie. This is way better. Not to like compare the two, but like they actually kind of use it like throughout them, and like this is like Miles's big like kind of coming of age moment. It's sick. Yeah, so instantly thought of the film when I heard it though. So
cool.
Rides.
It does not ride for me, so that it dies. It's just too aggressive for me. You know, like there were parts of the soundtrack that I didn't resonate with entirely. There were parts that I really liked, but yeah, the songs that are kind of in this vein or in this kind of new age soft hip hop kind of vein too, some of it just didn't do it for me. So it does die for me.
That's fair. Well, let's transition right into the movie. So Trey, why'd you pick Into the Spider-Verse?
So I picked Into the Spider-Verse because we've been talking about doing a superhero movie. And hot take, I think this is the best Spider-Man movie that's ever been made. If it's not the best, it's the second best to its sequel. This is like the comic book movie that if you know, not to be that guy, but I actually did grow up reading comics. And if you grew up reading comics, this is the movie that you always dream of. Like there's these awesome action sequences. Like the story is original and fresh and different. You know, it starts out with Peter dying basically. And Miles, you know, having to become this new Spider-Man, and you did the animation styles that like the way that they like change through animation styles, and they use actual like comic book frames to frame action that they then will like break out of. Some of the fourth wall breaks, like all of that type of stuff is just such a cool concept. And let's be honest, Sony is awful with this franchise. They're historically they suck. They botch it every time. Venom,
they don't care about it.
They don't give a shit about it. They don't give it enough. They give it just enough money to limp into the box office, but to essentially fail. I mean, Venom is one of the coolest villains ever, and those movies are. The first one's good. The other two are pretty meh. And then I feel like it's a money washing scheme because like none of these movies actually ever make any money, and none of these movies make any money. Like Craven lost a ton of money.
I thought that before too for a lot of money for a lot of movies. Like it's a tax write off thing. Like they do it intentionally. I don't know.
What was that movie we were talking about where we think they did that on? The guy who is like famous, Robin.
The singer. Better Man, the monkey movie.
The monkey movie. Yeah, like there's no way anyone somehow.
I don't know how, but it is.
Yeah, it's got to be. So anyway, they absolutely, whoever figured this whole thing out, they nailed it. Apparently, the third one is kind of like under some type of potential issue, which is kind of a bummer. But curious to hear, A, how y'all feel about superhero movies in general, B, how you felt about this movie, and C, if you'd seen it before, and if you saw it in theaters, because it is definitely a theater movie.
Yeah.
So first off, you hit the nail on the head. Like this, here's the thing about this movie. Like I'm being serious when I say this. I have never heard somebody say a bad thing about this movie. Like everybody that watches it fucking loves it. And it's like critically acclaimed. Audiences fucking loved it. Rightfully so. And I saw it in theaters too. And like, there's just it's the best Spider-Man movie by a wide margin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the animation is sick. I love not only the comic book, like the visual parts, but the dialogue. There's dialogue in comic book form, which I think is super cool and unique. And like, look, man, I'm an emotional guy, you know, and there's some emotional moments in this movie that are really great. Like the moment between Miles and his dad when, you know, he's tied up and his dad comes to tell him that his uncle passed away. Like it tugs at your heartstrings, and then it leads into the What's Up Danger scene where he takes his leap of faith, where he becomes Spider-Man. And that scene, like the visuals on it, like when he busts out of the wall, when he's diving straight down, and it does the cuts, like the 5 cuts when he's diving, like that scene is just so perfectly executed, so perfectly done. And it's such a cool moment, like coming out moment for him as this character. And he's just like, he's like the most relatable kid Spider-Man, you know, like he feels like a kid. He feels like he's struggling with what he's dealing with more so than any live action Spider-Man movie I've ever seen. You know, they do such a fantastic job, and obviously soundtrack is killer. And I'm really excited for the third one. I hope there's not any issues for it, because the second one's also fucking phenomenal. I love the different Spider-Mans. I love Noir Spider-Man, Gray Spider-Man.
Nicolas Cage, shout out.
Nicolas Cage, yeah. So there's and the guy that plays the Peter Parker, his Peter Parker is that guy from New Girl, right? What's his name, Trey?
His name's Nick in New Girl. I don't know what his actual name in real life is, but we can call him Nick.
Yeah, but he's great as the Peter Parker. Like, I love their dynamic. And yeah, man, I can rant and rave about this movie forever, but I want to avoid talking about superhero movies as a whole, because that would be a long conversation. I think there's some good Marvel movies early on, specifically. But in terms of like superhero movies, to me, this is arguably my favorite one. You know, this is the one that I enjoyed the most in the theaters, that I can come back to. It is a little childish at times, right? It's a kid's movie, it's a cartoon, but I think it's great. I think it does the themes that it needs to do really well. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Only rival to it is Iron Man 1. Iron Man 1 is so good. Sorry, go ahead, Anthony.
So I did see this in theaters, and you know, growing up, wasn't a huge Spider-Man or superhero fan. You know, I didn't play with cars, and I didn't play with action figures, but I did play with like animals and shit like that. But growing up too, wrestlers were the superheroes for me. So like that was just the lane that I could go into, because I never really geeked out over Spider-Man and Batman and those types of guys. But this was a great movie. You know, for what it is, being like really the first true comic book movie, right? Where there is those action sequences and the onomatopoeia where he's doing shit, and the explanations right there. You know, it's a really cool touch on film, and I think it really sets the framework for where it goes. You know, as far as is it called Across the Spider-Verse?
No, that's the sequel is called Across the Spider-Verse.
So because the sequel to me is like taking what they did here and just really doing it to perfection in that movie. So like if I was to compare the two, that one is my favorite for sure, and potentially my favorite superhero movie, just by the presentation and the sheer just the visuals that are on the screen. It's enthralling. But no, this one's good. The only thing that bothered me, because I saw this in theaters, and seeing it with a bunch of people, especially for the first time, really is an experience that everyone should have, I think. But watching it at home, the exposition got old to me, and it didn't get old to me the first time I watched it, but every time the new Spider-Man, because I had forgotten how many different Spider-Man or versions were going to come out and use that same running bit of like, well, let's start at the beginning. And every like towards like the end, I really got tired of it, you know, but it doesn't make me dislike this movie at all. It's just part of the lore of Spider-Man. Like that's just an inside joke for everybody, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a solid movie. I enjoyed it. Trey, I did want to ask you, before this movie, were there any other instances where Peter Parker dies in any context?
Not in like the major in the comics, yeah, all the time. Yeah, he dies all the time. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Every superhero that you know of has died in the comics. That's just like a thing, and they come back to life, or whatever.
Gotcha.
It's just a common trope. Yeah, because Superman dying was a really big deal in the early 90s, I want to say, because he'd never died before. So there's like maybe the late 80s. It's called Death of Superman. I actually have the comics. But yeah, I love comic book movies, honestly. Like, even the bad Marvel ones have positive things for me. I mean, the really bad ones, like, not so much. Like, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'm sorry, you kind of die hard. But, like, there's other ones that, like, even the Black Widow, like, solo movie that came direct to streaming, I love that movie. Like, I just love, like, I like all the character development and the way they've, like, taken this universe to make it really big. I think they've really kind of screwed themselves as far as the MCU goes, because they build way too much on relying on their audience who have seen the last thing. And there's so much detail now that they're like 30 movies in that, like, it's just not really possible. So, like, someone like me who is, I would consider myself a relatively big fan of these. Like, I didn't see Loki season 2, so I don't fully understand the bad guy in the new Hulk movie or something like that. Not Hulk, because they but it's asking
a lot of their viewers.
It's asking people to like the new Captain America movie is, and which I still haven't seen, it relies on you having watched the Disney Plus TV show, like a big part of it. So like when it came out and people were upset, and I don't want to talk about this because it was people were like, oh, Captain America's black or whatever. It's like, yeah, Captain America's been black for 3 years. You shouldn't watch that TV show that explained how he became Captain America after, and because a lot of people didn't do that. So it's kind of, they put too much faith in their audience in a lot of ways. But like Blake said, I could talk about this for hours and hours. So let's just move on.
Who's your favorite superhero, Trey?
Endgame slaps. I'll say
Spider-Man.
that. Yeah.
Endgame slaps. Like, yeah, all of Phase 2 slaps and Phase 3.
Yeah. Who's your favorite superhero, Anthony?
Shit. I mean, I did dress up as Batman for Halloween one time, so we can go with that.
Yeah. Nice.
I like the darkness. I mean, like the gloomy shit from DC, like that. I can't see myself gravitating towards that. I remember watching Daredevil in 2003 or some shit, and like I really liked that movie back then. And there's some really cool characters, at least to me, if that's my only ever like receptance of that story. I enjoyed it.
The new Daredevil TV show is really cool, just for the record.
Yeah.
It's out right now. Yeah.
Who's your favorite superhero, Blake?
Yeah.
It's probably Iron Man, I would say. I fucking love Tony Stark, and I love Iron Man, so definitely my favorite.
That was amazing. Never change. All
right. Well, we got anything else before we sign off? Or before we talk about the next episode and then sign off?
Tune in next week. We're going to hit 100, and we're going to do a totally biased retrospective on our 100 episodes that we've done as a group.
We'll have champagne and everything.
Yeah, we have a big,
that's a good idea.
We have a big episode coming up. We're not gonna spoil it, but we're gonna look back at TBM and where we started from the bottom and now we are fucking here, and we are gonna
a very accurate statement for our exact socioeconomic levels that we started at, which we are now currently in.
And we are going to look through our past, and it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. So tune in. Can you guys hang out for just a second when we end this?
Great. Yes, we can break up with us. Sure.
All right, everybody. We'll catch you next week. Peace.
Peace.